Only JoJo can make me feel bad for a mutated green ogre abomination thing that is a father. Only JoJo can make me feel bad for that type of creature. And I just gotta say, this episode gave me unexpected feels for the antagonist of this arc. But hold that thought, before I even get into that, there is something I need to discuss, which, oh my god. Last week, okay? So many Chibis commented in the comments. It was ridiculous. Like 99, probably 100% of the comments were, it is bad company, not worse company. It is crazy diamond, not shining diamond. Now, here's the thing, okay? I'm just going off of the translations. Yes, I knew crazy diamond is the real proper name, but the main thing is, though, is that it is honestly just there for copyright reason. And so many were making an issue of that last week. I mean, they have to change the names because the names are based off of music songs or artists or whatever. They're based off of other people and different things in the world, which is for copyright why Crunchyroll changes the names. The thing is like, I cannot believe how many people get upset when you say worse company instead of bad company. That blew me away. I'm like, holy fuck. That was crazier than the last season of JoJo when it came to Stardust Crusaders. So, damn. Like, do I need to look up all the names of the stands for part 4 and future parts and say them properly? Because, holy crap, I am just shocked with how many was talking about it's bad company instead of worse company. But I'm gonna get off of that. Just like, holy shit. It's a name change there because of copyright reasons, and that's why some people would say worse company instead of bad company, which that's why I did it. But okay, anyways, this episode, before I even get into the new arc that's being set up here, mainly the focus of this episode is kind of showcasing Dio's legacy and how Dio continues to have a presence in the next part even though he is already dead. Dio has been dead for a long time now, according to the timeline, and he died in part 3. This is part 4, so Dio is pretty much, he's gone. But even after Dio's death, his legacy lives on where he's still causing problems in this part. For instance, an entire family's life has been ruined thanks to Dio, because the entire arc, we found out the reason why the main antagonist of this arc went so far with the bow and arrow to make other stand users was to find a stand user that could kill his father, because his father sold his soul to Dio. If we remember in part 3 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, we remember Dio, he was collecting stand users and he was putting flesh buds inside their head, and we saw multiple cases of this in the earlier parts of part 3's anime, or if you read the manga equivalent, but we saw it a lot in how, you know, Joseph, and you also had it to where Jotaro and all them, they had to stop these different stand users or different people that had flesh buds inside them, and there was some cases to where even Joseph used, you know, his hormone to be able to get rid of the flesh buds inside of someone's mind. And when you take a moment to factor all this in, there's obviously probably other people out there that had flesh buds inside their mind that wasn't really ever removed, and we get to see an example of this. What happens if Dio died, but the flesh buds were still in someone's mind? Apparently they do not die, they do not disappear, they are still around, but they go berserk, and they pretty much just destroy the main person's personality, like makes them just like a mutated vampiric monster, pretty much how, you know, Dio was, for instance, being able to not die. Which, here's the interesting part about this. I'm going to assume that the father can't die to sunlight, because as we know from Dio's case, if he walks into the sun, he would die. But when you look at this right here, it seemed like the father could walk in the sun and he was completely fine. Even though the DNA of Dio, this flesh bud, it mixed with the DNA of the father, apparently he could still walk in the sun. Now, it's not said what the stand is of this father. We don't know what type of stand he has. I don't know if it'll ever be revealed or not. But my only assumption is if for some reason he's alive, but he could still die in the sunlight, I'm going to assume it's his stand that we didn't really find out much about that is probably keeping him alive. And if it's not that, it's something else going on here. So the man is pretty much immortal. He can't die, and he can't die to sunlight. So the only way that could possibly kill him, maybe, would be hormone or ripple or whatever. So that's the next thing I need to wonder about now. So could the father possibly be cured thanks to Joseph? I mean, Joseph apparently is still alive. From what we understand, he is still alive at this moment. He's about to die. I mean, it's getting close to where he's going to die. But I wonder if he's going to pop up and heal this father, because the father can't die, and that's a miserable life. I mean, you see him holding his family portrait. He's just looking at this picture of his family, his kids, and his wife, and it's sad, because, I mean, he's a monster. He doesn't even recognize his, older sons anymore. He doesn't recognize them, but he, at the very least, remembers something when it comes to this picture. And every time this, this treasure box was taken away from him, he would cry for days on end until it was brought back, and he was actually looking for the picture. So that's the sad part about this. It was a very emotional episode when it came to that, giving some more, life to the villain of this arc, but also setting up Okuyasu as a new friendly. For instance, a new player in Part 4 of JoJo that will be constantly a reappearing character. So I think this episode overall was a very solid episode for just showcasing how Dio can still cause problems even after death. And with the actual setup of the end of this episode, it goes into the next arc. Now I'm going to talk about that. So there's a new stand revealed, and I went out of my way just to figure out the real fucking name to this stand, because I didn't want to deal with what I dealt with last week with, not worse company, bad company. So I went out of my way to figure out the true stand name. The stand's name is Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is a reference to another type of song band and stuff. And pretty much, I went out of my way to actually figure out the full name, because it was called Chili Pepper in this episode's translation, and I didn't want to upset the big fans of JoJo with calling it Chili Pepper, even though it's Red Hot Chili Pepper. So yeah, that's the official name to Red Hot Chili Pepper, or the stand name of the person that was introduced at the end of the episode with the electricity stand. Now, I'm just gonna say, from now on, I'm probably gonna call it Chili Pepper for short, because saying Red Hot Chili Pepper, that's a big long title. I'm just gonna call it Chili Pepper for short. If it pops up and it becomes a very reoccurring character throughout the entirety of Part 4, I'm going to probably just shorten it and call it Chili Pepper. I'm just FYI, okay? FYI. So the stand overall, it seems to be a little bit powerful, because it can go through electricity, like electric currents, and it can go for power poles, all that, and it seems like maybe the stand user could possibly transport himself maybe through electricity. Might be a possibility, we have no idea. But we also have it to where he can cause electricity to overload and explode. For instance, how he exploded the phone on Jotaro in the middle of this episode. He calls Jotaro, he's like, hey, I don't want to deal with your shit right now. I know you can stop time. You seem like a tough opponent. I don't want to deal with you. And pretty much Jotaro's like, nah, I'm not going to do this. You're probably a student, aren't you? You sound like you're a student. And pretty much things go south and the phone explodes in Jotaro's hand. So that means this man can explode technology. Like, he can overload it, overheat it, whatever, and make it explode. So that's pretty deadly, because what if this dude got into, let's say, a nuclear power plant? You could already kind of figure out what he might be able to be capable of. So this dude is pretty scary. He's pretty broken depending on how he uses his stand and if he's actually a good thinker or not. But apparently, from what information we got in this episode, is that he is a student. So we don't really know how intelligent he's going to be. It seemed like he overall lost his cool when he found out, or when Jotaro found out he was a student. It seemed like he lost his cool, so that's part of his personality. It doesn't seem like he can keep a level head when it comes to tough situations. But overall, episode pretty damn enjoyable. I loved it, and hopefully the father gets fixed, and hopefully, there is a way to get him all better. Maybe Hamon might have a reappearance in this, part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.